Hey guys, I got a project for you guys that you guys will all appreciate. This is the joystick off of any Honda Snowblower. As you'll see, this is the motor and encasement inside. I didn't find any videos of this online, so I figured I'd put one of these up. So this comes out of any Honda snowblower. I believe it's no different from the tracks to the wheels, but you have a set of 3 bolts that go into the actual housing on the snowblower, and you take those 3 bolts out. It's pretty easy. I forget what size it is. I think it's an 8mm, but anyways, you take that out and this pops right out. You unclip this little housing from the inside. You'll notice it's marked there. That way you know which way it goes back in, and I believe there's a mark on this as well. See that little line there means for me that's going to be the up. And I even put one on a little scratch on the downside, just for a little extra precaution. Okay, so it's not the hardest, but it does take a little bit of some fine motor movements. Once you get this piece out and it's ready to go, this little back end that holds it in just has these little tabs on the side. You just push them in with a screwdriver, and then I had to unclip this zip tie that was around the wiring, and you'll see there's a waterproof grommet that slips right out as well, and then you get what it looks like the PC board. So yeah, and on this PC board for each direction, I went ahead and marked which one was up, what was down, what was left, what was right, just because it saves you time on thinking on the back end. But you take this little housing right here that goes over this. Okay, it has little clips on the side. You just kind of gently, and I'll do another one for you guys here in a minute, but you gently open this up, and I just pry. I don't lift hard because these little plastic pieces are incredibly hard to find. You're not going to be able to find a part number for them. It's really frustrating. So be very gentle. Do it in a warm environment. Don't do it in a cold environment because it'll break that plastic easily. So bring it inside, let it come up to temp, and then gently pry each corner out, and then it just slips. But don't just take the top off, because there's this gentle little spring that's hardly in there whatsoever, and you think that part's hard to find. Try finding out that spring. Anyways, that little spring comes off of this, so you'll see here. I'll show you exactly how this went in there. Okay, so these are the little contact pin, and then you take this. Okay, hold on, I use my other hand here. So I kind of get this spring to kind of slip on. There's a little nipple in there that if you can get it to stay in there, it will kind of rest on. And then all you do is bring the spring to the outside of this circle of the PCR board, and you just kind of drop it in there. You notice it's hanging off the side here. You take that and you, I got my screwdriver stuck. I need a little bit bigger of a screwdriver. But anyways, that still worked. So it goes back in there and it rests back in there. And then this slips over the top like so. You push it down and it snaps in, and then you're good to go. But I haven't cleaned it yet, so I'll show you guys that. So anyways, you take the top back off. Take this out gently. If you're really good, you can leave the spring attached to it, saving you some fine motor movements in the future. Take that little... So you see that little contact thing? It is so dirty. It's disgusting. Okay. I don't even... It looks like they have dielectric grease on there, but it's corroded. You don't need to replace this whole thing, supposedly, I read online. But you do need to go through and clean each one. I did the one that I was having an issue with, but I'm going through each one in general, just to, why I'm in here. Might as well clean everything. and you can see that that corrosion is coming right off. And we haven't even done the part that I suspect is making the problem. But you see the back end of this little contact here? Look how black it is. Okay, this is, you might not be able to see it. I don't know. We'll see here. Bring it up close. That little black piece right there, it's like soot. It's like carbon buildup. Okay, that carbon buildup will prevent a connection, a transfer of voltage, and that voltage is what's gonna, you know, send a signal from this to your little motor that runs your chute on your snowblower. So that needs to be cleaned up. All I'm using is a standard Q-tip with I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on the cap here. I touch it and I just kind of work it. It comes right off, you can see, but sometimes you can like tell there's still a little bit extra, and there's special brushes for it, but I can't find mine, so I'm just kind of using this little screwdriver here, and you can see, hopefully, it's so small, I might have to zoom in, but you can see that it comes right off if you just scrape it. And then you take your Q-tip, I try to keep it clean, and then you just kind of go back over and you clean that connection. I do both sides because even though one's just kind of like a neutral, the other one's more or less the power. But anyways, take that. Okay, and then you get it cleaned up on both sides. Looks pretty good. You can kind of rest that aside. Okay, so this one is just a standard switch. I clean it. There's not really electricity. Well, there's a little electricity, but it's just dirty and it needs to be cleaned as well. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I wasn't having issues with this one, so okay, but wow, this is gross. Okay, so look closely here. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's so impossible, probably. But on this inside there, you see those two little nipples on both sides. They're both supposed to be silver, like completely clean. Notice that one's pitch black. Yeah, that's what's preventing a contact there, and then you need to make sure you get in there and clean that. So it seems silly that something so small could be causing like an issue of like, you know, in operation, but people still cut corners on the way they build things, and sometimes like a little bit of corrosion isn't really accounted for on the engineering side, so this stuff kind of gets forgotten about, and then next thing you know, you're not working. And a lot of people don't have the patience for this, so they'll just buy a new joystick, which isn't that expensive. I mean, it's 40 bucks or so, but I mean 30 minutes of your time, we'll have this thing back and running. Okay, so all right, I cleaned it. I try to look in there. It's hard to see, but that is no longer black. It is now clear. I mean, you know, at least for the most part, silver. But sometimes I go back in there and I do another scrape with the edge of the screwdriver. And then you can see how dirty that thing was. Holy smokes. Okay. Boom. Check that out. Much better. Okay, so you go ahead and rest your dog hair on there. You got to rest your little contact there back end. It kind of just sets where it needs to. I mean, there's a little kind of little edges there. You can tell where they go. It's pretty self-explanatory once you're in here. Okay, and then you can see essentially, what if I do this? It's because I'm at an angle, but that's how you touch. That's how that touches that prong. Okay, and then you take this and you just so gently stick that in there. Okay, and it looks good. I make sure my lettering that I used, it's hard to see. Yeah, I put it in like this. Boom, you hear that snap together, okay? And now the ultimate test. If you hear a click, that's good. Okay? So now we're gonna go ahead and do the next one. Hold on, I gotta let the pup in. Okay, so now you guys are good to see me actually take one apart. We only got 2 more, so let's try this. Okay. Okay, so like I said, you want to go in here very gently and just kind of twist it and work it up, you know. I go to the other side. Like I said, you need some finer motor movement skills to kind of get in there and twist around and without breaking stuff. Oh, see, I opened one side and the other side closed. Go back in. I put my finger over the top there just because I know there's that spring in there and I don't want this thing to shoot out. Okay, it came loose. Then you just slip the top off. Boom, there it is. Okay, the setup's pretty easy to get out. You can even use your fingers and just pull. Okay, this one doesn't look as corroded, but it still has some. Put it in order if you're confused. There's only 3 or 4 parts, but okay, you can see the corrosion right on this nipple again. You can see it not only here from where the switch is touching, but right there on that one right here. So we got to clean that, and then the point of contact on the back side here, you can see that one is it's not as bad, but it still needs to be cleaned. Okay. Comes right off with the isopropyl alcohol, but you can use a few different things. Just make sure you're not leaving like a chemical residue on there. Okay. And then, honestly, that grease probably isn't that big of a deal, but it kind of looks gross. There you go. Make sure your spring is kind of lodged on there a bit. Okay, and then we're gonna go back in here. We're gonna clean this out. Honestly, this should probably only take you about 15-20 minutes. You know, if you take your time, don't rush it. Do a good job. And then, you know, make sure you really get any of that corrosion off of the contacts. If you need glasses when you do this, it's okay. A lot of us do. Okay, I'm putting it back together now because I cleaned it. Rest it in like that. Okay, and then this is I think that's right. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, I just got to do the last one, but I think you guys see the point, and I hope this guys helps you out in the future.